N9YO listening test. N9YO listening test.
N9YO listening test. N9YO listening test.
N9YO listening worldwide. N9YO listening worldwide from St. Charles, Missouri.
N9YL, N9YL, ZL2 Golf X-ray, ZL3GX.
Hello, Giovanni. This is Tom, Tango Oscar Mike, in Missouri. November 9, Yankee Oscar, on a very cold night, testing out my new Anytone 578. Making a YouTube video also. Thank you for coming back, Giovanni. It's been a while, a couple weeks. Still playing around with digital radio, but thanks for coming back.
Roger, N9YO, ZL2 Golf X-ray. Beautiful day here, sunny day, clear sky and the odd puffy cloud around the edges. Temperature's probably about 75 Fahrenheit. And I've been gardening all day. Unfortunately, while you're playing with radio, the leaves and grass and everything all grows. Every now and again, you've got to get out there and hack it back. N9YO, ZL3GX.
Giovanni, that is so interesting because I have the exact opposite problem now. I had to push snow and ice off of my car. And it won't be very long before I have the weed problem where you have to cut down the weeds. They grow faster. Someone once said that if you pull it out and it grows back again, it's a weed. If you water it and it dies, it's a plant. Anyway, what do you think of that? N9YO Tom in Missouri.
Roger, Tom, name Giovanni at this end. Yes, I well understand that. I seem to be quite good at planting things and then they die. Like a friend of mine sort of asks every now and again if it's time for the sacrificial tomato plant. But every now and again stuff grows. I've got some rocket out the back, which is Cavolo Nero, the sort of strange cabbagey thing that's black, almost black, blacky blue. Trouble is, because I'm not really paying attention to the plants, I also forget to pick it when it's ready. So I've been sort of staring at some storage. I've got some very cheap SSD drives at a local store here. It's an annual holiday yesterday called Waitangi Day. And so everybody had a day off yesterday, and it's just another excuse for the stores to have a sale, of course. But, yesterday we had, because it was a national holiday, a sort of combined branch ham radio barbecue, so people came around from all over the place, and then several groups went up on some local hills for doing the summits on the air. So that's interesting. Involves some climbing and some light radio and QRP, stuff like that. Back to you, N9YO, ZL2GX.
All of that is really good to hear. You had a holiday. You guys go outside and you climb hills. You make contacts. We're in the deep of winter now. The worst part. I always say December is my favorite month. January and February and even March are the months I hate the most. And here, by the time May comes around, we're starting to think about tornado season, severe storms. I don't get into much gardening. I've got too much work to do. I know exactly what a solid state drive is. You know, I spend all my time in IT. I'm an IT worker. I sit all day and I come home and play radio at night. I have a lot of this tall grass. I forgot what it's called, but it's about 6 foot tall. It grows every year, and I have to cut it down and bag it and throw it away. And I've got all this grass I have to worry about, and yet I don't want to go out there and do it because it's probably at 25 degrees Fahrenheit, and there's no way I'm going out and doing that. Anyway, good to hear from you. Back to you.
Sunflowers like that, which are really quite pretty. They're about sort of almost a foot across. They've been sort of slightly unworldly things because of their size. Growing stuff is, because I don't pay attention, of course, it doesn't work very day with sunscreen on, of course, cutting down and using the weed whacker, which is what we call the thing with the nylon line that spins at high velocity for hacking through weed whacker. And it makes a huge difference. But you do sort of get a bit glazed after it. N9YOs at L2GX. Oh, your radio's sounding good. I think you said an Anytone 878, which is what I'm using. N9YOs at L2GX.
Okay, very, very good. Giovanni, name here is Tom, Tango Oscar Mike. I know very well what a weed whacker is. We call it the same thing here. They're almost like disposable here. They don't last very long. You have to take a lot of good care of those because we have a lot of corn syrup. I don't know what you call it, but you put the oil here also has corn in it, so they don't last very long because they get gummed up. Long story short, they're disposable. It's very bizarre to hear you talking about warm sun and sunlight, and here we're in the deep of winter, but I'm used to talking to people on HF that are probably 200 to 300 miles from me, all in the United States and Canada, maybe Mexico, Florida, California, and they all have the same kind of climate. You know, it's just really cold here. There's ice on the ground, and it's funny to hear you talk about weed whackers when I can't even go in my garage. It's so cold. All right, it's nice to talk to you. So I had been talking to you on a handheld when I was walking around. Now it's too cold. I went ahead and got the Anytone 578, and this radio is it's inside. I drilled a hole through my house, and I went outside. I put up a little antenna. I'm connecting to a repeater. I am not using a hotspot. So this is my, I'm glad that you're there. You're always there online. I'm glad to hear that you're there. All right. Tom here, back to you.
Tom, yeah, I'm using a repeater on the hill as well. I've got a hotspot which I use for Brandmeister, but that gets so busy. If I'm trying to do anything else, I'm still working on my website with Emacs and Lisp and Python and bits and pieces. I can't concentrate if I've got Brandmeister in the background, but with this one, the DMR Mark, it's very, very quiet actually, so there's only the odd person that pops up on it. And of course, we're a sort of day rotated as well. It's now 5:15 in the evening. Gentle breeze outside, wafting grapevines and things like that. Yeah, I've got a 7-metre, 21-foot fiberglass pole, which is my infed inverted L for HF, and it's just sort of slowly drifting back. Yeah, it's a really lovely evening. Not wanting to rub it in. Yeah, we don't have there are tornadoes here, but very, very rarely. And just sort of the odd isolated city. But a couple of days ago, it was at the stage where we had some bushfires at one end of the country and tourists being isolated because of heavy rain at the other end in the South Island. So it's highly variable. N9YOs at L2GX.
I can use this radio in my office, whereas I cannot use my HF radio for antenna considerations. I'll just put it that way, because HF requires a giant antenna, and where I'm at, I can't just do that. So it's much easier to do this and talk worldwide. So I have heard about your bushfires. We have different climates, and I totally understand that your weather is totally different. I live in a strange area in the middle of America where the weather changes very rapidly because the fronts come through here over and over and over. So we had 75 degrees, 70 degrees Fahrenheit, then it dropped to 20 degrees the next day. Then the next day it may be 60 degrees, up and down, only because where we live, it changes so rapidly. So it's very interesting, but I also don't like it because
N9YOs at L2GX. Tom, yeah, the common wisdom that this is a calling channel, but basically seeing it's not used at all, it hardly seems sort of nice to put some life into it. Anyway, we better leave it free for somebody else to make contact. Now, I'll find your channel as well. N9YOs at L2GX. It's been a pleasant chat. Till next time. Cheers, Tom. Set L2 Golf X-rays clear.
All right, sounds good. I always forget that this is a worldwide channel, even though I don't hear much out there. All right, talk to you in whoever knows when. Ham Radio CQ on YouTube. This will be out there in a few days. Thank you for coming back. N9YO, clear.
Roger, Tom. I got that. Ham Radio CQ. I'll check it out. Cheers. So they'll teach you. Okay.